Hey everyone, Zach here. Here to talk about the sixth episode of Voltron Legendary Defenders' second season, the Arc of Taujeer. Another rescuing an endangered people episode, as is kind of the typical adventure for the Paladins right now. But there's also looking into the ongoing concern of how Zarkon has been able to track the Paladins. But when they actually go on to their mission for this episode, it's based on Pidge sort of calculating a Galra predictor finder sort of thing to essentially guess likelihood of Galra activity, occupation. So they find themselves helping the people of Taujeer, whose planet is being stripped of resources while it's in the process of, interestingly, shedding the outermost layer of its crust, temporarily turning into an acidic wasteland while it rejuvenates itself. But the populace is trying to get to a lunar colony aboard this Ark spaceship in order to wait it out and, of course, avoid the Galra if they can. They have a very interesting design, the Taujeerian people. I didn't talk much about the Olkari's design. They were interesting, sort of reptilian, amphibian looking, somewhat lizard like. But the design variety keeps going, especially with these aliens. If you've ever heard of a creature called a water bear, it's this strange little invertebrate that can survive several different environmental extremes like temperature and acidity and stuff. That seems to be the inspiration for these people's designs. Essentially, picture the Michelin Man, but no eyes or mouth. And give it a sort of just basic circular mouth where you would expect it to be. That's essentially what these aliens look like, except also their mouth glows as they talk. They don't seem to have eyes, but apparently they can see. They're sort of just plump, kind of invertebrate looking creatures. Odd, but non-threatening, essentially. However, while this mission is going on, it's only 4 of the Paladins and Koran, because in order to try to isolate the variables and stuff, Allura and Keith were each originally thinking of independently leaving temporarily to see if they would be followed, if Zarkon would independently track them. Allura mentioned that it might be her quintessence signature or something like that, based on her awakening on Eris at the beginning of the series. Keith has wondered if it's some kind of imprint upon him in the Red Lion from the first season finale, since he had that long fight against Zarkon. But then they decide to basically go together aboard a shuttlecraft and see what happens, and otherwise go back to the team very soon. They do seem to reach a conclusion on how they seem to be followed, but I won't reveal it here. Granted, they'll likely act based on their current conclusion, so I might just say in the next one. Interesting thing about Galra commanders I've learned about with this episode. Sort of the leaders of these invading forces and commanders in Zarkon's inner circle, they're kind of distinguished through being kind of especially beastly and aggressive, qualities like that. While the commander here, Morvok, he is interested in conquest and destruction. That's pretty standard, but with his voice and his appearance, he's kind of comes across as just a guy, essentially. It's like one you wouldn't really want to cross given the resources he has, but he's not really someone you'd necessarily be afraid of if confronting him completely alone. So I guess he's pretty low in terms of notoriety in the military structure, from the looks of it. They're a nice bit of comedy through a slight character reveal with Karan. In a small scene with him, we find out his full name, Karan Hieronymus Wimbledon Smythe. Given that fanciful assortment, I'm surprised there wasn't a number on the end of it. Third, fourth, whatever. And, of course, more tech updates for the Lions. I originally thought the jaw blade was limited to the Black Lion, the sort of dagger held in the lion's mouth that can slice through enemy machinery as it flies past. But I guess that's standard for all five, since other ones are using them in this episode. Also another toy tie-in, this time with the yellow lion. On the figure, it says it's a disc launcher, and maybe it'll have that capability in future episodes. But for now, the Yellow Lion's backpack sort of thing is mainly just additional strength-enhancing armor, as well as gaining larger claws, kind of a I guess sort of like a reinforcement armor apparatus, something or other. Difficult to describe it on the spot. But it's another fun one. helping find some answers to questions that the characters have in their mission. We'll see how they approach new challenges with what they think is how they're being tracked. So, I'll see you in the next one. Onward to episode 18.